You may ask, do I really have to brine my chicken? No, you don't. It is a wonderful way to season the chicken thoroughly, give it that wonderful flavor. Again, you want to have it in the brine. This is a 10% salt solution, so you want to have it in the brine so for enough period of time that salt and the other flavors that we have in here, which is a little bit of honey, of course, some thyme, some lemon, some bay leaf, some parsley, some peppercorns. We want to have enough time for those flavors that are in the brine, as well as our salt, to actually penetrate the skin of the chicken, penetrate the flesh of the chicken. Remember, it's brining inside and out. Now, I know some people like to put herbs and lemons and things inside their chicken, but because we brined it, you don't have to. All right. So there's our chicken. One of the challenges in roasting any bird is the amount of time it takes to cook legs as opposed to breast. And as anybody who's ever had a great roasted chicken knows that the breast should be nice and juicy, and the leg should be cooked through. We don't want to see any blood, or if we do, just a minor amount of pink around that leg joint where that leg joint meets the thigh. Of course, in brining, we have introduced moisture. And this is a little bit of a contradiction from what we talked about early when we didn't want to buy chickens that were water-cooled, but air-cooled because we want to introduce moisture. In this case, we've introduced a brine, we've introduced flavor to it. We've helped to bring some more moisture to the breast. So the cooking of the breast and the legs will almost be identical. One thing that I've learned about a chicken, because I enjoy them so much, is I can tolerate a little bit overdoneness on the breast as long as the breast remains moist. And that breast remaining moist through the brining is part of that result. All right, so we're going to truss our chicken. There's a lot of moisture, so I'm just going to go ahead and put my towel underneath there so it helps. And it's a very easy process. We're going to take a piece of butcher's twine, just snuggle it underneath what is the Pope's nose right there. We're going to bring it over the two leg joints there. So you see we have a cross right there. And then we're going to take it and slide it underneath the leg. So we've created a figure 8, if you can see that. We're going to snuggle that right underneath the breast and pull back. Pull this way, across, and pull back at the same time. Now I'm pulling my breast skin down with my thumbs because I want to make sure I make that breast skin taut. Wrapping my string through where they cut the neck. That was the neck is right here. And you can see just a little remnant of where the neck was. And that's going to hold that string in place. And then I'm going to do that wonderful slip knot that I use. And then just go ahead and tie it tightly there. There we have our trussed, brined 2.5, 3-pound roasting chicken. And then we're going to go ahead and put that in our refrigerator for at least 2 days, possibly 3. We have the advantage in our restaurants to have a lot of air movement in our refrigerators because we have fans. And we actually add fans to our walk-ins as well so that we can increase the velocity of air that goes around our chickens. Chickens being a very special dish at Bouchon, we want to make sure that we always have as perfect a roasted chicken as possible. And air drying it results in having this beautiful, almost lacquered, crispy skin, which we all really enjoy in a roasted chicken, is the texture of the skin. That's why I talked about earlier, the contrasting textures and flavors from the different parts of the chicken, from the Pope's nose to the thighs, to the legs, to the wings, to the breast. Even the oysters the little oysters that are part of the connection between the back and the leg, which are just so wonderful. There's all these little treasures to find on a chicken and to be able to enjoy on that chicken. So air drying it is really important. Let me just get this one back again. So the chicken that was just out of brine, which we're getting ready to dry, and the chicken which has been dried for 3 days. Quite a difference in that. Okay, so we're just gonna then brush it with a little bit of clarified butter. That fat's gonna help crisp up that skin a little bit, but it's also gonna help us season it, so with our salt. So the salt's gonna actually adhere to the fat, or in this case, the butter that's on the chicken. Can you use oil? Certainly. You can use vegetable oil. Okay. We have our oven preheated to 475 degrees. We want to really get that intense heat on the chicken, so it really starts to crisp up that skin. And then we'll turn down the heat after 15 or 20 minutes to about 375 and finish the roasting process. And you see how that, one of my favorite parts about this is that as that salt bakes onto that skin, and that first bite of that salty skin is just so wonderful. And there we have our, what I like to call our one pot meal.